Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I would like to start from the summary of the previous lecture, as you are very fond of having the summary. So as you know, we have started a very deep and technical discussion about a very important issue, that is the panel data. Panel data is simply a combination of time series and the cross-sectional data, and you can say the positive point of using the panel data is that it can solve the more complicated behaviors analysis. It can help in analyzing the complicated and intensive behavior. And there are other names for this. It is also called the micro panel data. There are other two kinds of panel data. One was, if you remember, that the balanced panel, the other was the unbalanced panel data. I think need not to explain this. How the issue was that how to estimate the panel data, because when we are combining different observation, so there may be the problem of the, you can say, the estimation. To estimate the panel data, we have to make assumption about the three things. The first is what assumption we are making about the intercept. The other is what is our assumption about the slope coefficient, and what we are assuming about the error term, that is now the UIT. IT means I stands for the cross-sectional data, cross-sectional unit. If you remember, we started our discussion about the 4 companies. It means we have 4 cross-sectional units, and at the same time there are 20 times time units, that is the T, from 1935 to 1954. So this was data about the firms. We have the balanced panel data, and we have discussed the 2 possibilities. The first was that everything is constant. The intercept, the slope coefficient, everything is constant, and what we did, we just kept the observation of each company, one at the top, the other lower and lower, and in overall there were 80 observations for each of our variable. There were 3 variables. Just to remind you, the dependent variable was the Y, that was the real investment, and the X2 was value of the company, and X3 was the capital stock. Again, we have just went for some of the time for the regression models in the previous 3 lecture, not the previous but the 2 lecture before the previous lecture, in which we were confronted that when our dependent variable is categorical, or you can say the qualitative, we are again coming back to since the previous lecture, we are again assuming that our dependent variable is now again the ratio scale variable. So we assume that slope and intercept do not change over time and space. And what we did, we applied the OLS, we saw the output, and we came to know that everything was okay except the Durbin-Watson statistics that was too low, that was showing that there is some specification bias. It means our model is not correctly specified. There may be autocorrelation. So we will be going for this, that we should use some model that can improve the Durbin-Watson statistics up to our required level. The second category, the possibility we just concluded in the previous lecture, that was that we kept the slope coefficient constant across time and cross-sectional unit, but we only allow the intercept to change across units, not over time. So what was this? We were allowing to see to capture the difference of the companies, that is, you can say, across unit, that in one company what is happening, what is the, you can say, the administrative model, and in the other companies what is the administrative model. From now, where we have to start? Now we have to start that it was very easy to say that we are allowing the you can say the change of the variable intercept across unit. how to introduce into the model, and then how to estimate. From this I will start discussion. Now you are well aware of FEM, fixed effect model. So I will continue from the FEM. How do we actually allow for the fixed effect, as we said, intercept to vary between companies? As now we are assuming, if you remember the previous discussion, that we allowed the intercept to change across the country. How it is possible? Simply speaking, dummy variable technique. What you will be using dummy variable technique, and for your kind information, that we also call the fixed effect model the least square dummy variable. So it means we are using the dummy variable. And what are these? These are the differential intercept dummies. These will call that you will use that there is a difference in the intercept dummies, and we will say these are the differential intercept dummies. How we will use? We will say that we use a dummy that is D2 I is equal to 1. I means we are allowing it to change across the unit. D2 is equal to 1 if the observation belong to GM company, General Motor Companies, 0 otherwise. It means only 1 will appear before the companies, the observation that are from the, you can say, the General Motor Companies, and 0 otherwise. All the other for third, there will be 60 zeros and there will be only 20 ones, all other will be 0. And D31I means 1 if the observation belongs to US, definitely again 20 observation, otherwise 0 otherwise. Again there will be 60, only 21 will appear against the values of the, you can say, US. And D4I, what this means, this will be showing now 1 will appear in the D4 categories of the dummy variable against the companies, that is the Westinghouse, and all other will be zeros. So what this is, every time there are 60 zeros and 20 ones. Sometimes 20 ones are before the A company, sometime against the General Motor Companies, General Electric companies, and whatsoever. Since we have 4 companies, now it is your test. You remember that we have used only 3 dummies, D2, D3 and D4. However, we have 4 companies. So what is the reason behind this? You know that we want to avoid the dummy variable trap. And you know, if we use as many dummies as there are the cross-sectional unit, or in case of our example there are companies, and also include the intercept, then we fall into dummy variable trap and we are unable to estimate. 2 options are available. Use as many dummies as we can, but we should have to exclude the intercept, and then the slope coefficient will become directly comparable. On the other hand, what we say, we exclude one of the category, that becomes automatically the base category, or you can say the significance or the reference category, and we use 1 less dummy as number of categories, or you can say the unit. So we have 4 units, n-1 we are using the dummies, so we are using the 3 dummies there. Here there is no dummy for GE. If you look at, we introduced 3 dummies. This was for General Motors, the other is for you can say the US, the 4th dummy was about the 3rd dummy was about the West. Why we did not use D1? Because there we are starting from the X2, X3 and X4. That's why, to just keep the balance, we use D2. Otherwise you can start from D1, D2 and D3. The purpose is to use only 1 less dummy as there are the categories. Now how our model will become, look at here. YIT the same. Alpha, you are allowing the intercept to change. Now alpha is, we are just distinguish it from the beta, and we are saying that alpha 1, alpha 2, D2I. This is the dummy. Now alpha 1 will, you know, this will be the mean of the omitted category, that is the base category, and there no dummy for this. So GE, General Electric, is the, you can say, the reference category. alpha 3 D3I, D4, and now say the other model is the similar. No change in the model, slope coefficient are constant, no IRT with this, no IRT with this. Slope coefficients are constant across time as well as cross-sectional unit. Your the coefficient, the dummies are they are changing across unit, they are not changing across time. The differential intercept, now these are the differential intercept, alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3 and alpha 4. Tell by how much the intercept GM, US and West differ from the intercept of G. These are 3, alpha 2, alpha 3, alpha 4, these are the differential intercept. ये क्या हमें बताएंगे कि across the companies how much difference is, and we will be comparing this difference with the alpha 1, that is the base category. Do you remember which company we excluded from the dummy? I think you know, that is the General Electric. So General Electric has become, you can say, the base category. Every result will be compared by this. Every result of the intercept, slope coefficient cannot be compared with the intercept. Slope, we will be comparing them in a different way. So we will see that what happened. In short, what this means, General Electric becomes the comparison company. Again, I would like to mention that this is only my choice to exclude the General Electric company. You can exclude any one of the company and you can retain any 3 company into the model for dummies. Only difference is that the company you will exclude from your model, that will be considered the base, or you can say the reference category, and you will be comparing all the results in accordance with this. Of course, this is the last sentence is important. Researcher is free to choose any company as the comparison company. The students become confused and they try to follow that what is the teacher doing. I am again at the categorically I am mentioning that the choice of the base category is totally discretionary on you. And now you will be thinking that there may be change in result. There is no change in result. Only you can say the comparison category or the yardsticks becomes different. Look at this. We estimated this model. This whole model, we had the data for 3 variable, we used dummy as I told you, and what happened, these were the results. What are all the estimated coefficients are individually highly significant. This may be, you can say, difficult to see for this. Need not to go for this. What is this? We will be talking about this a bit later. Look at this. T statistics is for intercept alpha 1, that is the mean of the base category, significant. The other is significant. Alpha 3 is a significant. Alpha 4, beta 2 and beta 3 all are, you can say, the significant. So there is our model, and look at the R square has jumped. In the previous it was hovering around 75%. Now immediately it have jumped towards the 93%. And there is one very encouraging indicator, and if you can see that the Durbin-Watson statistics has improved significantly. It was less than 10% in the previous example. Now it has gone up to, you can say, 1.10%. It means 11 time increase in these statistics. So now if you look at the degree of freedom, in the previous n minus k was 77. N 80 observation, minus k mean 3 minus 77, because we were just calculating at that time, estimating beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. Now you have introduced 3 more dummies, 3 that previous one, 3 this one, and these are now 6. If you see, these are your 6k. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So degree of freedom have changed. Now values we have estimated. Now we have to compare this. This is exactly like the dummy variable. Values are, if you remember, this is for General Electric. This is the value of the General Electric, and you know this is our base category. that we excluded. We did not use dummy for this. Alpha, this was the intercept, and it automatically captures the mean value of your, you can say, the omitted category, that was the general electric. So we have the value of, you can say, the base category. Now we have to compare all the other dummy categories with this. Now what is this? This minus 84 is for, you can say, for GM. Why it is 84 for GM? If you look at this, the coefficient of GM dummy is 161, but we have to compare it. We will add up these. If we, this is the base category, this is, you can say, the General Motors coefficient, we will add up, and we will add up, there is 84, because the minus value is much higher than the, you can say, the positive. This was one comparison of between General Motors and the General Electric, because General Electric is your base category. Again go 93 point of this is for US. If you see, the coefficient of the US dummy is this one, 339 point something. So again we have to compare it with the you can say the omitted variable, omitted category, the value, and as we will add up these, this is the minus, this will, and we will have this result. And the last is that this difference is, if you see that the dummy of this is 186. So this is 186. What this means, that we have to again calibrate it with the excluded category, and these are the value. So this was one of the way that we allowed the intercept to change across cross-sectional unit, but keeping all other things constant. Which model is better? Can you guess? Let me know which model is better. I think, see the statistical significance of the estimated coefficient. If you see the statistical significance of the estimated coefficient, you can see the here are highly significant, and this is more important. The Durbin-Watson statistics has improved significantly as compared to the previous model, and the increased R-square value, however, should not be surprising as we have more variables in the model. ये जो आपकी R-square value ज़्यादा आई है, ज़्यादा खुश होने की ज़रूरत नहीं. It may be due to the only that we have brought the dummy variable that are now independent variable, and you know, as the number of independent variable increases, R-square increases and it never decreases. The situation of the fixed defect model, it is still continues. There is no end, I think, of this, because this is very important model. A formal test. Now we want to see that which previously we saw that this model is better. But is there any test that could tell us that this model is better or the previous one was better? We are going to develop some of the, you can say, the test. A formal test for the comparison of two models in relation to later model and for later was, that was, we restricted everything. Here we are allowing, that was restricted, this is unrestricted, and you can say we can use the restricted F-test to compare the two model, although we have compared them by visiting each and every value, T statistics, R-square, Durbin-Watson, standard error, but we have to still, there is one test, you can say the F-test, and it is called the restricted F-test. How you will come to know? Every time, this is R-square of unrestricted. R-square unrestricted is this one. This model is unrestricted because in the previous everything was restricted. Here you have allowed some changes. So this is the R-square, it means it will be 93 in this situation. So we are testing, and we are looking that what is there any special test for this? So this is that F-test is, and how we calculate the value of this F-test is R square UR mean unrestricted, and our unrestricted model is here, and the R square you can see this is the R square. So we will be using R square here, and this is the R square of the restricted of the previous model that are not available on these slides, but I can remember it was about 75, and if you can see this is available in this kind. And the degree of freedom in the numerator is 3, and the degree of freedom in the denominator is 74. If you see here, we are subtracting the R square that is unrestricted from 1, and you say this is the unrestricted, this is 74, and the value of the F test is 66.99, almost 70%. So what we are going, if you remember, we are just going, we have gone through that the unrestricted model is better than this, but at this time we can say that we want some kind of special test. So the value of the F test is now significant. What this means, that it is very high value, and clearly for if we go for 3 number and numerator and 74 denominator degree of freedom, it is highly significant. Therefore the restricted regression seems invalid. What our you can say the null hypothesis was, that our restricted model is better as compared to unrestricted, but we rejected the null hypothesis, which indirectly means that we have some you can say the sum of we conclude that our restricted model was invalid, but unrestricted model that we have just calculated from this is unrestricted model is better as the value of the F test. So now what is the message from this last 5-minute discussion? The message is that you can go for 1 and 1 parameter and see the T statistics, Durbin-Watson statistics, coefficient of determination, that is R square. But still you can check between the two models, and there is F test, and F test, the formula is there, UR mean unrestricted and R mean restricted. You have the values of restricted as well as the R unrestricted, and if the calculated F value is greater than the tabulated, you will reject the null hypothesis, and null hypothesis is that your restricted model is better. You will reject and you will say no, restricted is invalid, but this is valid. Now the time effect, that was the cross-sectional effect. Now here is the time effect, that we are allowing the dummies to change over, you can say, the over time. Dummies can be used for time effect in the sense that the function shifts over time because of factors such as technological changes in government regulatory and tax policy. You remember that over time there are, you can say, there are changes in the tax policies, there are tax reform, there are tax rebates, as in Pakistan it is happening that there is money laundering, they are giving tax amnesty scheme. Whatsoever the reason is, they have impact. So what we are doing in this, we are allowing the time effect. And what we say is, dummies can be used. Dummy variable is a very powerful technique. It can measure the effect of the cross-sectional unit. We can allow the change in the cross-sectional. Now we are using it as a, you can say, the time. Such time effects can be easily accounted for if we introduce time dummies, one for each year. Now look at this. This is dummy started from 3530 and it is going up to this dummy. For each year we are using the dummies, but if you see, the slope coefficients are same. What here I am saying, that we are again allowing only the intercept to change across the, you can say, the time now. The previous one, we were allowing it to change across the cross-sectional unit. Now you are using each dummy, one dummy for each year, and it is, you know, we have the data from 1935 to up to 1953 and 54, and there are 20 observations. We will be using 19 dummies. because there are 20 observation and we are in the habit of using m minus n to avoid the, you can say, dummy variable trap. So we will be using 19 dummies for this. Since we have data for 20 years from this, we can introduce 19 time dummies. These dummies will be called time dummies. The previous one calling were that were the space dummies, or you can say the cross-section unit dummies. Here again I would like to say that you can use as many dummies as 20, but you will have to exclude this intercept then. Otherwise you will be falling into dummy variable trap. Where dummy 35 takes a value of 1 for observation in year 1935. If the observation belongs to the year 1935, it takes the value of 1, otherwise it is 0. And similarly this process keeps on. We are trying the year 94 as the base year. Look at this. We have taken a year that is at the last and we are using it as a, you can say, the base category. This is again up to our discretion. There will be, again let me say that there will be no difference between any of the value. So this is now, why there are 19 dummies, we are not using for the last year dummy, and you can say that now 94 is the your base unit. The third is, now I am not presenting the result here, that what were the result. I have just tell you the story that if you allow for the time effect, you will have to use as many dummies as the number of year. What you are using, you are saying that if this observation belongs to that year, it is equal to 1, all for other, you can say the year it is 0. So there are 20 time units, we are using 19 dummies. If there are 100 units, time units, if we have data for 100 years, we will be using 99 dummies. And at the same time, we can use 100 dummies, but we have to exclude the intercept. Now the third effect, slope coefficient constant. By now the slope coefficient is still constant, and we are entering into the third possibility. What is this? That the slope coefficient constant, but the intercept varies over individual as well as time. पहले हमने इंटरसेप्ट को सिर्फ अक्रॉस स्पेस चेंज होने की इजाज़त दी, दूसरे में हमने कहा कि ये अक्रॉस टाइम चेंज होगा लेकिन अक्रॉस यूनिट चेंज नहीं होगा. नाउ वी आर सेइंग दैट द इंटरसेप्ट विल चेंज नॉट ओनली अक्रॉस space cross-sectional unit but also across the time. To consider this possibility, consider the following. You can see these first 3 dummies are for cross-sectional unit. बेचारे slope coefficient अभी भी जो है वो constant, and it is easiness that we are allowing 1 by 1. These are still constant, but we are allowing the intercept dummies to change. The first 3 from, look at this dummy, and this. Now you can say rather than writing D2, D3, we have written the GM, US and West, and again the same category is excluded from the dummies, and now in you can say in cross-sectional unit, that is the base category, that is the General Electric. Come to the dummy of the, you can say, the side of the time series unit. Again this one, a dummy starting from 35 up to 53, not up to, these are 1935, not only the 35. This is, you should not be confused, 1935, 1953, and we are not including the dummy for the last year, that is the 1954. It automatically becomes our base category when we are talking about the across time, and the other model remains the same. When we run this regression, we find the company's dummies as well as the coefficient of the X are individually statistically significant. What this mean? That our, I am not presenting the result again here, I am just telling you that when we ran this regression, when we looked at the result, we came to know that not only the intercept dummies are significant, but also the time dummies are still are significant. So what this means, that the companies are not only different across times cross-sectional, they are different across over time. इसका मतलब क्या है कि एक तो कंपनीज के इनर एनवायरनमेंट इज नॉट द सेम, different managerial methods are being used, and over time the company's history is not the same. What this means, that there may be some technological improvement in the General Motors, not in the General Electric and US and the other. So this means when the dummies become significant, this shows that there is significant difference among the units. And if these are the significant both for the you can say the cross-sectional and the time series, we say that there is a difference among the companies, not only across the unit but across the time also. Fourth categories. Now I think we are very lenient and we say all coefficient vary across individual. Now we have immediately you can say open the door and everything is going out, no restriction on the model. Everything is changing, and what this means, all coefficients including intercept as well as the slope coefficient, they are vary across you can say the individual. Here we assume that the intercept and the slope coefficient are different for all individual. Intercept and all individual are cross-sectional units. इसके दरमियान जो है वो चेंज हो रहे. This is to say that the investment function, what this means indirectly, that the investment function of the General Motors, General Electrics and others, they are, you can say that the investment function and are all different, because we are allowing to change for this. We can easily extend our least square dummy variable technique, that is again the fixed defect model technique, in this way. Look at here, alpha 1, this is dummy for this. Up to here these are dummies for you, you can say the cross sectional. Now you can see here is, this is beta 2, this is the same model again here. Now what is this? Now you can see that dummy has come with x2t it, and also the dummy variable has appeared with this one. Dummy variables have appeared this one and this one. So now there are, you can see the interactive dummies. In the model we have introduced the interactive dummies. This is a bit difficult technique, and while I on XLR you can say there, you will be using, I think you can capture that this is like the previous one, the similar. But now from the model starts changing from the here, that you are using the interact dummies, and what is this? This is the alpha 1, gamma 1, gamma 2, and these are the dummies for these D3, D3, D4, D4 and so on. The gammas are the different slope coefficient. Now slope coefficients are changing. These are the different slope coefficients if one or more of the lambda's coefficient statistically significant. Now suppose that you understood this and you run the regression. Now if any of the lambda is statistically significant, it will tell us that one or more coefficients are different from the base group. If not significant, it will show that there is no difference. But if they become significant, they will tell us that there is significant difference and all the units are not the same. If all the differential intercept and all the differential slope coefficient are statistically significant, then the conclusion is that the investment function of General Motors use state and are different from that of General Electric. General Electric was our base category. You remember, if our slope and intercept dummies become significant, they are saying that the base category and the other companies are different from each other, they are not the similar. So this was the fourth possibility, that all coefficients vary across individuals. Look at the, now I have taken it your estimation from the E-views. Now we have to see whether the dummies are significant or not insignificant. Before explaining this, you have to see what I have said in the previous slide. If if only one dummy is significant, हम कहेंगे कि सिर्फ वही कैटेगरी जो है वो उससे डिफरेंट है. If all the differential intercept and different slope coefficients are statistically significant, then the conclusion is that investment functions of General Motors, General Motors, United Steel and Westinghouse are different from that of General Electric, that is our base category. Look at here. These are your intercept dummies up to D1, D2, D3 up to here, and these are, you can say, these are the slope dummies. Now what you can see, no need to worry about this, no need. We are concerned about T values and P values. It is up to you whether you concentrate on the T value or you concentrate on the P value. It is both easy. I will just concentrate on the P values. If I see the P value should be less than 10%, it means it should be less than 0.10 if we are assuming that the level of significance is equal to, alpha is equal to 10. So what this means, this is the first dummy, not significant. So what this means, the second dummy was for the General Motor, we say the investment function of the General Motor is not different from the base category, that is the General Electric. This is again not different. Again, for the what I would like to say, that the difference that the General that now this is D3 is not with the company, which company? The US Steel's investment function is not different from the base category, and again the D4 is not also significant. This will say that the investment function of the last company, that is the Westinghouse, is not different from there. Do not confuse yourself that these are significant. These are only the slope X2 and X3. These will be explained that if there is 1 unit increase or decrease and whatsoever. Go again for the dummies. These dummies looks significant up to here. D2X2, this is significant. This is also significant. This is also, but the last two significant are not. R square is very high, and D statistics is also more than 1, although it is not exactly equal to 2 or less than very near to 2, but still we can say that it has improved. So this was the situation, that in some cases we are saying that there is the dummies are significant, in the other we are saying that these are the insignificant. After introducing the dummies, the ultimate message with you is that you will have to check that whether these are significant. If these are significant, you will say that there is a difference. If these are insignificant, you will be talking about that there is no difference. A caution on the use of fixed defect model or least square dummy variable. You should remember, again and again I am writing because you are not confusing yourself that this is something different. The fixed defect model is also called the least square dummy variable. So what cautions? We have seen different possibilities. Sometime we were allowing the intercept to change only across time, sometime allowing it to change across, you can say the cross-sectional unit, sometime across both times and space. Now when we are using this, we need some of the cautions that are very important, you can say in this way. If we introduce too many dummy variable, we will run up against the degree of freedom problem. If you remember, when we were introducing the dummies of the time variable, we were introducing 19 dummies. So what this means, as we are using many dummies, there is a problem of degree of freedom. So degree of freedom, as it consumes, and the more we variable introduce, there is a problem of degree of freedom. Now you are aware of this, that what is the problem of degree of freedom. Simply you should know that it creates sometime if there are more variable, it creates the problem like the estimation. The second problem could be, with so many variables in the model, there is always the possibility of multicollinearity. Now your dummy variables are becoming your independent variable, and when there are so many dummies, what will happen? So many independent variable, there is the possibility that the problem of multicollinearity may arise. Or you can say, and when there will be the problem of multicollinearity, you know the multicollinearity, theoretically no problem, that it will remain below, but practically we will say that there will be problem and the precision is being hit. That we will say that our parameters are not estimated with precision. The third problem we can face, we can also include variables such as sex, color, and ethnicity. We have to just use for the dummy variable for these also, because these have the categories male and female, and color white and black if we are talking about general colors, and ethnicity in Pakistan, you can say, for example, you can say the people from Hazara people and the other people. Nowadays it is a hard issue. So what will happen, which are time invariant? These three things are time variant. You will remain a male or female over time. And your color, if you are not doing extra makeup and sittings in the ACs, that it is also all the time. Blacks remain black and white remains white. I am not talking about just the fading, or you can say the gloaming of the hair. Two, because an individual sex, color, or ethnicity does not change over time. So we can use dummy for this, but these things remains, you can say, constant over time. What will happen? Hence, least square dummy variable approach, or you can say the fixed effect model approach, may not be able to identify the effect of such time invariant variable. So if this is the situation, now you can say what we have said, that we can use dummy for every categorical or qualitative variable. So what we have introduced, we have said that sex, color, and ethnicity, and these variables are interestingly time invariant. And when these becomes time variant, then your least square dummy variable or fixed effect model becomes important, and it becomes ineffective to capture the effect of these variables over time, because these are constant. These are invariant, time invariant. We have to think carefully about, now this is making another problem. Everything we talked about, intercept slope, but Bechari error term, we did not talk about this. So she is crying that she should also be addressed. So it is good time to address that, what we are assuming for this. We have presented so far based on the assumption that the error term follows the classical assumption normally, that it is normally distributed. What we talked about by now discussion, every time we were assuming that the error term is normally distributed. Normally distributed means that it is zero variance and it has zero mean, and it has constant, you can say, the constant variance. Since the I index refer to cross-sectional IT, this is UIT. I is for using cross-sectional, cross, and T is for time. So what will be, since I index refer to cross-sectional observations and T to the time series observation, the classical assumption for UIT may have to be modified. Our assumption was, look at assumption that these UIT are normally distributed here, but as UIT is there, I is for cross-sectional, T is for time, so we have to modify this assumption, and we will see that how we modify this assumption for this. There are several possibilities. It is up to you which you choose, but my purpose is to give you 2 or 3, or you can say the 4 possibility. First, what is now what we are assuming? Now we are just focusing the error term. Because why we are focusing the error term? You have come to know that the error term, our assumption was that it is normally distributed with zero mean and constant variance. Now there we say that we have to modify our assumption, because now there is I, that is the cross-sectional unit, T is the time unit. So we have to modify it, and how we can modify? There are, you can say, several possibilities. The first possibility is we can assume that the error variance is the same for all cross-section units. This is the one part. What you say? You can assume that it is still constant, there is homoscedastic variance for all the cross-sectional unit. What this means for General Motors, for US Steel, for Westinghouse, and for the General Electric, or it is up to you. We can assume that the error variance is heteroscedastic. Heteroscedastic means that it is not constant. It is different in General Motor. It is different in, you can say, the General Electric and other companies and whatsoever. This was the first possibility. It has two components. First is that the variance across the unit is, you can say, the constant are equal, and you can say that the variance, this is assumption. We can make, and when we make the assumption, we build our theory in a different way. For each individual, we can assume that there is no autocorrelation. Individual term, for companies, we can say that there is no autocorrelation over time. Go to your Durbin-Watson statistic, that was saying something, that it was low, and it was showing that there may be autocorrelation. So what we are assuming here? We are assuming that there is no autocorrelation across the units. Thus, for example, what we say, we can assume that the error term of the investment function of General Motor is not autocorrelated. We can say that any of the, this is only one example, we can say in General Motor, the error term is not, you can say, the autocorrelated, and you know what is the autocorrelation and what is the other. The third possibility is, for a given time, it is possible that the error term for General Motors is correlated with the error term of, say, US Steel, or both US Steel and Westing. We assume the third category. What we are assuming? Previously we were assuming that there is no autocorrelation in one of the observations of a series. Now we can say that the General Motors are correlated with other one company or all the other companies. Or we could assume, this is one assumption, or we could assume that there is no such correlation. Every possibility is there. Why there is possibility? As you will take your assumption, your model will have to be modified in a different way. And for the last, you can say, we can think of other permutations and combination. There are other combination, as we said here, उसको जी कर लें, correlated है, वो उसके साथ correlated नहीं है, ये है, वो है, X, Y, as Facebook, mama, daddy से daddy, father से father, and so on. This keeps on. These are the permutation. It will tell us that how many possibilities are there. Allowing for one or more of these possibilities. If you assume one or more possibilities, it will make the analysis that much more complicated. देखें कि एक नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का assumption लेने से मसला चलता रहा. But at the same time, now what is happening? Now if we allow the change in the assumption about the error term, now we will have to see that there is a, you can say, the complication in the model. The problem may be alleviated. Now the problem has arrived, and you can say, alleviate this problem? Yes. And now the solution is, rather than FEM, this is REM, this is a random effect model. The first was fixed effect model, or the least square dummy variable model. But if we allow make different assumption about the error term, we will have to go for some other options, and that is the random effect model. So estimation of panel data regression models, the random effect. अब हम बात करेंगे जी random effect model की. Although straightforward to apply, this is very simple as compared to this. Although straightforward to apply, fixed defective or least square dummy variable modeling can be expensive in terms of degree of freedom. Least square dummy variable or fixed defect is very easy to apply, but the one major drawback of this is that it consumes more of the degree of the freedom, because as we use more and more dummies, degree of freedom reduces. We have several cross-sectional units. When you have more cross-sectional unit, for example, there are 20 cross-sectional unit and you use 19 dummies, there is chance that you can say this is degree of freedom is consumed too much. If the dummy variable do in fact represent a lack of knowledge. Now what is this? This is the crux of today's discussion. Why we use dummy variable? Because we are not aware of that whether they are different from each other or not. It means we have lack of knowledge. So in random effect model we say that if the dummy variable do in fact represent a lack of knowledge, yes, they represent the lack of knowledge about the true model, why not express this ignorance through the disturbance term UIT? Channel change ho gaya ji. Why there is? The proponents of the random effect model, they says that why we use dummies, definitely we use dummies that we are uncertain about our model, that whether it is correct or it is true or not true. So they say that if you have lack of knowledge, you should use this information, you should allow the error terms, and you can say why not express this ignorance. ऊपर वाली ignorance हम fixed defect model में dummy variable के जरिए जो है वो शो कर रहे हैं, but here we are showing the ignorance in the disturbance term, and they say that it should be showed through the error term. So the only difference between the random effect and the fixed effect model is that the major difference that in the fixed effect model we allow the lack of knowledge to appear through the dummy variable, but here we allow, you can say, the ignorance to appear through the error term. This is precisely the approach suggested by the proponents of the so-called, this model is also called the error component model. This is also called the random effect model. This is also called the error component model, or you can say this is the random effect model. This is the situation of this. This is, you can say this was our previous model, YIT beta 1I, this one, and now we have to make some assumption about this. We will see that what assumption we make about this. Instead of treating beta 1I as fixed, look at here, we said beta 1I, it means we are allowing the beta 1I to change. So what this means, instead of treating beta 1I as fixed, we assume that it is a random variable. Now we are not using the dummies here, we are allowing that it may be a random variable with the mean value of beta. We say that this is changing over time and its mean value is beta. And the intercept value of an individual economy, an individual company, I think you are wondering the previous one. What is this? Instead of treating beta 1I as fixed, we assume that it is a random variable. Random means its mean will be equal to b. So what this means, it may higher, it may lower, but mean is equal to beta. And how to compare this? This is because in dummy variable, there was, in fixed defect model, there was one base category, and we compare it with this, the other categories with the base or the reference category. But here we are saying that no, there is some another issue. Why should we are saying that this has become the random? The intercept is not for any of the specific category, but now it is the random. So how we will compare? For an individual company can be accepted. We say that this is the mean value of the random and plus the error term, because now this is random and beta 1 I. Now how we will, if for example beta 1 is equal to 3, I say and that for General Motor it is equal to 3 plus, if EI is equal to 2, it will be equal to 5. So this is the comparison become, rather than compare one base category with the other, we compare, we take the mean value of the random term for all the companies, and then we say, we add it to, you can say the, that is EI. Where EI is a random error term, you know, this is a random variable, a mean value of 0 and variance of sigma square E. Another assumption about this, we say that the error, this is we are making assumption that its mean value is equal to 0 and its variance is sigma square E. What we are essentially saying by making this assumption, what our purpose is to say, what we are going to say, we say that the 4 firms included in our sample are drawing from a much larger universe. बहुत सारी वहाँ पर जो है वो फर्म थी. In this, making this assumption that expected value of mean is equal to expected value of mean value is 0 and this is the variance is equal to sigma square E, we are assuming that we choose these 4 companies from a universe of many, you can say, the companies, and what this means, and they have a common mean value of the intercept B. ये assumption हम ले रहे हैं कि उन सब companies का mean जो है, that is random mean, that is B, and they are we have chosen all these companies from a large population. The individual difference, now definitely if there is individual difference, the individual difference in the intercept values of each company are reflected in the error term. The difference are not reflected in the mean value. These are now reflected, you can say, in the error term. So this was the assumption about the, you can say, the random effect model. I would like to again give you a 1 or 2 minutes that in fixed effect model we use dummies and we exclude one category. That category becomes the reference category or the base category. When the results are there, we compare them. If they are a significant dummies, we say there is significant difference. But in random effect model, the people say that why when there is lack of knowledge that we are going to capture through the dummy variable, is it not correct to capture this through the error term? Then we have to make some of the assumption about the error term. What we make that the error term is, you can say, is equal to now the mean value beta 1 plus E, and the, you can say here, the individual differences in the intercept values of each company are reflected in the error term. So random effect continues. What is this? YIT, you can say this is the situation, this is the previous model. What we have this is WIT. We are showing that WIT, where WIT is equal to EI plus UIT. We have done nothing, we have just changed this one, and this is changed on our previous knowledge. Everything of the model is okay, and this is, and we are calling it that it is WIT. What this means? The composite error term. Now this error term is a combination of two. WIT is a combination of EI and UIT. One may be from the cross-sectional, the other may be from the time series. The composite error term WIT consists of 2 components, EI, which is the cross-sectional or individual specific error component, and UIT, which is the combined time series and cross-sectional error component. Now our error term is a combination of, you can say, the 2 things. The EI, that is from cross-sectional, and UIT, that is for, you can say, the cross-sectional, or you can say the time series as well as the cross-sectional. Notice carefully, here the difference between fixed defect model and the error correction model, or I would like to write it random effect model. What is that? In fixed defect model, each cross-sectional unit has its own fixed intercept values. You are using the dummies. In fixed defect model, it is interesting to note, in fixed defect model, each cross-sectional unit has its own fixed intercept value in all if there are n such values for n cross-sectional unit. Agar n aapke cross, n mean many. If there are n cross-sectional unit, then there are n intercepts, and these are you can say clearly here you can say cross-section has its own fixed value. In random effect model, on the other hand, the intercept beta 1, वहाँ हर एक का अपना अपना अलग आकार है. Everyone in the fixed defect model, every cross-sectional unit has its own intercept. But in cross-sectional, if there are n, you can say n unit, n cross-sectional unit, there are n, you can say the intercept. In random effect, on the other hand, the intercept beta 1 represent the mean value of all the cross-sectional intercepts. Random effect is वजह से different है, that this is beta 1 is not now related to General Motor, not related to General Electric, not related to US or West Hosting. This is now mean of all the cross-sectional units, and the error component E, that is here, error component E represent the random deviation of individual intercept from the mean value. आखिर हमने difference भी तो देखना है ना. वहाँ तो difference in fixed defect model, it was very easy, we just compare the base category with the other. But here, how we can do it? We have the mean of all, and the difference will be the error term. We, as you can see from here, look at this, that this is now the, you can see the intercept of each cross-sectional unit, and you can see that this is mean and this is difference of the EI. And however, keep in mind that EI, that is the error term, is not directly observable. ये इसके साथ बड़ा problem है. That is not observable. It is what is known as unobservable or latent variable. So we will be calling it that this is a latent variable. We will keep on, you can say, keep on discussing the random effect variable and the fixed defect model, and we will compare them. So now I think that it is time for the curtain to fall. So I would like to give you a very quick summary of today's discussion. You remember we started from the fixed defect model. Fixed defect model is very simple. What we think that we start, we take some of the possibilities. Sometimes we say that we are using dummies for the cross-sectional unit. Sometimes we say that we are using the dummies for the time series, and sometimes we say that we are using both dummies for this. In fixed defect model, that is also called the least square dummy variable, we use n-1 dummies, and the excluded category becomes the reference category there, and its mean is the beta 1. So we compare all the categories with this mean. There are the many possibilities. कभी हम कहेंगे कि एक दफ़ा क्रॉस यूनिट चेंज हो रहे हैं, टाइम सीरीज यूनिट चेंज हो रहा है, and whatsoever the situation. But there is one objection on the fixed defect model, and sometimes it becomes difficult when we are using too many dummies. We have many cross-sectional unit and we are using too many dummies. The problem of degree of freedom arises. So when this is the problem, so our estimator becomes, you can say, not, you can say, the precise. So what we use, we go for some another technique, that is the random effect model. What is the random effect model? There is only a significant difference, or you can say the supporter of the random effect model says that when we use the dummies, what this means, that we are unaware of the true model. That's why we are using this dummy. And then we see that the significance, the R square and the T statistics whatsoever. They say that if we are not, if we are going to capture the ignorance from the dummy variable, why we should not capture this information from the error term? So in this way they are using we are using the random effect. This is also called the error component model, but its famous name is, you can say, the random effect model. I will be calling it the RAM. So what this says, it says that now we assume that all the companies are not different from each other, and the error that the intercept is now showing the mean of all the companies, not one companies. And the immediate question comes, not then how to compare that one is different from the other. It is very differentiable, that we will be checking the difference by the mean value, that was the mean of the random variable, plus the error term. In different cases the error term will be changing, and as there will be difference of the error term, this will be different among the, you can say, the companies, or you can say the objective. So this was the summary of today's lecture from me. So goodbye and Allah Hafiz.